That's peaking, so I can't do that noise. It's good to know.
Oh man. Okay, hang on. I got.
My dad said to me, he was like, "You might want to have an intro." I felt like when I started the podcast, I had to go back a couple times because I wasn't sure if it was the beginning or not. It was like, funny you say that. We had a very deliberate conversation about just doing whatever. Like, maybe an intro, maybe not. He's like, well, I'm old. I appreciate the constructive feedback, Father.
That's a nice shirt.
Thank you. This is
It's good.
bro. If we can talk about clothes for a minute,
Yeah.
I have no clothes. And it's because, all right, so if you don't know, for people that don't know, I've struggled with my weight my entire adult life, pretty much since I moved to Texas about 10 years ago. Texas, I don't know what it is about the weather, makes me fat. The weather does specifically.
It's the weather.
But, I started at Rooster Teeth. I gained a bunch of weight because there's free snacks, which is great. Lots of Rice Krispie treats helped me.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
Generally
oh,
does.
no. What's up?
It generally does.
Yeah. And then I had to get it in check. So I got it in check. In about like 4 months, I lost 80 pounds. Not a good way to do it. I had no guidance. I just did what I thought was right. And I was over 300 pounds. I was 320 pounds. And I was eating 1,200 calories a day. There was only one person that ever like called me out and was like, dude, you look gaunt. And I'm like, I look good, man. But he was right. And then
Yeah.
I was confident enough that started dating. Me and Grace met each other. And then, as sometimes happens when you get in a relationship, you focus on the other person and not yourself. And it's not Grace's fault. It's my fault. But I let myself go again. Then a few years into that, I was like, I really do have to keep myself in check. And then so for 2 years, more than 2 years, I was dropping weight. I was doing it healthily. So I thought, or maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I really don't know. I'm not a professional. But I got in the best shape I've ever been in. Like I had visible abs. I was working out 4 times a week. I was running 6 miles a day. Felt amazing. Then I don't know what happened, but about 2 years and 4 months ago, I fell into a depression hole like right after the holidays, and only recently have started to climb out. But I've lost about 27 pounds now in the past since
Nice.
March 1st. But I've because of this weight gain, none of my clothes fit me. So for a while I was kind of in denial. I'm like, man, these big shirts are just like pretty small now. It's weird. That doesn't make any sense. Better buy some bigger ones. I still fit in the old ones, but yeah. So I have 8 of the same gray shirt. I wore it last time on the podcast.
Okay.
I have this shirt.
Wait.
I'm a uniform guy. Like in the cartoon, like Homer has the same clothes.
Yeah.
I have 8 of the same gray shirt.
Okay. So you didn't just like somebody didn't just give you 8 of the same gray shirt.
No, I bought it. I bought it, and I was like, "This fits. Doesn't look great, but it fits my body. It goes on." And then I bought this shirt because I needed something for a nice date with Grace.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like 1 or 2. I have 2 pairs of the same jeans. I think I might have a pair of dress pants, but I'm not entirely sure. I think I bought some for a date. But other than that, like I still haven't shrunk down to a size where like clothes will fit me again. So like I have clothes that just don't fit, and it sucks, dude. And I didn't have this thought until I did a job interview in this shirt. And I was like, awesome. And I was like, wait, what am I gonna wear for the second interview and the third interview? I can't just wear the same shirt. But this is the only one I got. So I really don't know what I'm gonna do.
You could wear the same shirt.
Yeah. And just tell him I'm a man. I'm consistent.
Listen, I'm a uniform guy.
Yeah, I'm very consistent. But yeah, gaining weight sucks. Ass.
Yeah, it really does.
It's the worst.
Weight sucks. I don't know. It's really hard to deal with, and like it's so tied up in your like mental health and your like you're saying like your environment is a big factor.
Mm-hmm.
I think Texas weather, even though I grew up here, also made me fat.
Hmm. I believe it.
Um, yeah. No, I mean, I'm in the same boat. Like, I gained a bunch of weight as soon as I went off to college, which
Hmm.
is a pretty typical experience for people, and it never really came off. I've like tried to diet multiple times, and I just somehow end up fatter every time. So that sucks.
That is like there's studies that are like, 80 or 90% of people that lose weight will gain it back and then some. And like every time that's been true for me.
Yeah.
I'm approaching it differently. Again, not a professional, clearly pretty bad at this. Um, but I'm just kind of I'm also not like stupid. I understand what is healthy and what is not, and I understand what
Yeah.
are like a reasonable portion size is for my size. And so I've just been like eating the same foods that are like, mostly healthy, and then but giving myself, I think the thing I have not done in the past is I've not given myself any amount of slack. So I have that all or nothing thinking.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Because that because I suffer from the same thing. Like we've talked about it a lot. That all or nothing thinking, as soon as you have a bad day or you stop working out, it is so detrimental because that's probably what happened to you. That's what's happened to me multiple
Yeah.
times. Like if when I'm in that all or nothing mindset, if I take a week off because I am hurt or I'm sick or whatever, I will not go back to working out
Yeah.
or will not go back to eating healthy. I'll just eat like shit until I'm so fat and depressed I have to make a change.
Right. And like before I would be like same foods every day, which is fine, but I would never allow for like, oh, if it's Tuesday and Grace wants to go to the movies, like I can't even have a popcorn. Now I'm like, it's Friday, it's not like I would have a cheat day on Saturday. So I still sort of abide by that, but it's no longer like the cram all the food I can into in one day kind of thing. Now it's
Yeah.
just like I will be a little more lax on Saturdays. But if there's a day of the week where Grace wants to go out, or if whatever happens, I need to eat some. I want to eat something different. I'll give myself a little bit of slack. And the weight is coming off slower because of that, but it's coming off, and I'm also still going to the gym every day. And I'm not obsessing over food. There are times where I get cravings, but I'm like before. I was like, it was Sunday, and I'd be like, dude, next Saturday, I'm gonna have this for breakfast, and I'm gonna have this for
Yeah.
lunch, and like I was just all I could think about was those meals,
Hmm.
and that is bad.
Yeah, that's not healthy.
Yeah.
Now, I could be making this up.
Mhm.
In fact, I probably am. But I feel like I remember reading something about how if you lose weight like slowly, that's like more sustainable.
I've heard a lot of people say that, and it's hard to accept because I know I can lose 10 pounds a week
Right.
pretty easily if I just restrict my diet. But so far, I'm feeling okay.
Yeah, like I think the target loss rate is like 1 to 2 pounds a week.
Yeah, I feel like it should be more for me, but there are weeks where I've lost a pound. There's weeks where I've lost 5 pounds.
Yeah.
But I'm a really big dude. I'm well over 300 pounds, and I'm 6'3". Not small by any means. I know I don't look humongous. Well, maybe I do, but yeah, I'm big. So like I expect to lose it a little faster, but honestly, as long as I'm still trending in the right direction, I'm feeling okay. I got to give myself some slack though.
Yeah.
I think we all should.
My thinking has kind of shifted. I feel like I'm less concerned about the weight right now. Like I want to make sure I'm eating healthy and working out.
Yep.
And I feel like because I've always been so hyper obsessed with my weight and so like insecure in like the way I look that I feel like all that does is it's just a detriment. Like I just end up binge eating as a response to my insecurity and depression because I'm so focused on my weight and so focused on the
Yeah.
fact that I'm fat and that I hate it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to just be healthy and I hope the weight will follow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
And I think it probably should. If I'm not shoving tons of candy down my mouth and I'm working out every day, well, if I'm working out 4 to 5 days a week, the weight should follow
yeah,
to a
I'm
degree.
I'm sort of with you. Like for me, my weight is tied up with like it takes so much to like move my body that like I need to lose weight in order. Like I don't need to like I was down to like 240. I don't need to be that low, but I need to I need to drop some so that I can run again. Because right now, like when I try to run, like it fucks my knees up, it fucks my back
Yeah.
up. Like I want to lose weight, but yeah, like I'm more concerned about just how I feel getting around
Hmm.
Am I constantly like breathing heavy and not noticing it? Like sometimes I'll listen to the podcast when I'm editing. I'm like, oh, I can hear my breath, and
That
that is
sucks.
one of the most.
That sucks.
It's embarrassing, and it's like it hurts. Like, damn, I let myself get this way.
Yeah.
Um, but it's funny because like I look back at I had progress pictures every week from when I was losing weight last time because I was working with a trainer, and I remember feeling like good about myself, like oh, like I have, I can see progress, but I wasn't like I look good. I was just like I was still embarrassed about like oh, I have some flab here and some flat like, but like looking at it now, I'm like you're so stupid. Like why? What is
Yeah.
the is like it's got to be like some amount of body dysmorphia.
Yeah, I think so. I think we both have that to a degree.
Yeah,
I mean,
I want to say I think you look great. Like I don't like you're a little overweight, but I don't see that. That's not what I see you as. I
yeah,
see you as Hudson,
right.
and
Because
and especially since like we took a break from like we didn't see each other for a while. Now that I see, I'm like, dude, you look fucking great.
thanks, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't, but
no, no, I really genuinely, I mean it.
right. We're gonna have a body dysmorphia off where we try to
Yeah,
convince each other that we look like
yeah,
shit.
but
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I look back at pictures when I was like in college when I thought like, wow, I'm so fat and out of shape, and I'm like, I would kill to look like that again.
yes, yeah,
And that's just the way it is. Like you're never satisfied with what you have because our perception of what is healthy is so distorted and so unachievable.
yeah,
I mean, I know people who have like the Instagram level bodies and even they are like I don't look good. I'm not as big as I don't have as much muscle mass here and here and here. Like I don't look like this guy.
yeah,
It's like, yeah, of course, because that guy is uses a computer to look better. And we have this completely fucked up, distorted perception of how we're supposed to look.
yeah.
Now, obviously, I don't fall into that like, oh man, just a little bit of Photoshop and I would look a lot better. But
I mean, I don't know how you perceive yourself, but like the problem I was running into is like people didn't just look at me and see, oh, that's a fat person. Like maybe right now they would, but when I'm at an average weight for my size, I would see myself in the mirror and be like, people are thinking, people, the first thing people think when they look at me is that's a fat person.
right.
And, one thing one of my therapists said to me was like, you might um, be fat, but like fat is not who you are.
Hmm.
Like you're so many other things, and those are the things people care about.
Yeah, and
And
people don't think that. Like they don't go around thinking, well, most people don't.
most people don't. Yeah, I mean, it, it's not realistic.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's a hard thing to overcome. I'm not. I do not have good self image. Never have.
Me
But
either.
but I want to
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, when I was in, when I was in high school and I was perfectly in shape and, super skinny, muscular, like all that, my self-image was distorted about other things other than the way I looked. And then it just moved on to the way I looked when that became a thing.
Yeah, your brain's looking for something to hate.
Right.
Yeah,
Man, that sucks.
it sucks. Yeah, but I hope that both of us can find our happiness. I feel like I'm on the right path. It's a
That's
slow
good.
path, but I think like when I'm able to get to a low enough weight where I can wear the clothes in my closet again, I'm gonna feel really fucking good, and then maybe start running in the park again. That'll be really nice too. Because boy, I miss that.
Yeah. I hope I can run again one day.
Yeah.
I need to lose a ton of weight though.
It's hard
And
on your body to
yeah.
run. It's not good for sure, but so we were having a conversation last night, and it like flipped a switch
God.
in you, and we were discussing specifically. I was talking about haggis because I miss Scotland because I went there one time and I had a bunch of haggis. We were discussing what it was, and I think roughly it's like some organ meat with some spices and maybe some grains in cooked inside of a sheep stomach.
Mhm.
And sort of when I went there, like the preparations were all different. They never just like plop the sheep stomach full of shit on your plate. It was never that. It was always
That's
presented.
good.
It was always presented really. I think once they cook it, they remove the sheep stomach and then like
Yeah.
give you however they serve it. Um, but it was so good to the point where like I had it at every restaurant, and every time I had it, it was like different or better. It was fucking amazing. And you said to me, I don't think I can get past the idea of what it is. And I said,
Yeah,
"Oh,
I'm
you're a
not
picky eater."
n- no, I told you last night, and I knew I was gonna do this. I knew I was gonna forget about this conversation,
Yeah.
and man, this just irks the fuck out of me right now, dude.
I wanna
Okay,
I wanna I wanna be very honest with you. I'm sort of just prodding you. I know
I
that you're not
know.
entirely a picky eater, entirely, but there are things that you don't like. But go on.
Yeah, yeah, that's just called preferences.
Mhm.
That's not picky eater. A picky eater is like somebody who
Okay,
no.
go on, go on.
A picky eater is somebody who has like when you say picky eater, you're describing somebody who is like nutritionally deficient because they are not their diet is so narrow. There's like two things I won't eat.
That is a way you can define it. That to me is like an extreme picky eater. That to me is like a child. When you say like I won't even try something because of what it is, that to me triggers like, oh, he was not open to new experiences. He's being picky. But I will like to your credit, one you don't like seafood. And we went to a sushi restaurant one time and you were totally down to try it. That is not being a picky eater. That is preferences. Like you gave it a shot. And,
Yeah.
but like if someone says to me like I'm not going to try that. It sounds icky. Like there's a whole culture of people that eat this because it's just normal to them. To us like yeah, organ meat sounds a little weird in a sheep's stomach, but like it's normal to a whole culture of people.
Yeah. But
Same
it's not normal to me.
but wouldn't you be open to just trying it?
I, it just sounds too gross. Like I just because of the way I was raised and the culture I was raised in, like the mental block of eating organs is just like it's there. It's not going away.
I'm sure you've eaten organs before. You've eaten liver before.
I mean, I'm sure I have.
Yeah,
I probably did not like it.
man. I wish I could. You can't get haggis in the U.S., which is another huge bummer because it's like you can't sell. It's made of a sheep's pluck. I think that's what they call, which is like the organs.
Oh, okay.
And you can't sell that because of something like food danger. Um,
Yeah.
but I'd be. What other foods are you like not willing to try? Like I would like. I know you don't like seafood. That bums me out. But you've tried it in front of me. You've made the effort. You're clear on that front.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But haggis is one we can't settle. What
Uh,
other things are you not?
I think that's it as far as I can think of.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to eat a liver.
Okay.
I
So
don't want to eat the organ that is responsible for pulling all of the shit out of people's bodies and then eating that.
tastes pretty good though. Do you? So you've never had like pho with tripe in it or anything?
What's tripe?
It's the intestines.
No, I don't think so.
That is a weird texture. Like the first time I had it, I was like, "Oh, this is funky," but like it's okay. I don't think it has like a ton of. It's mostly like a texture thing, and it doesn't have a ton of flavor, but it's pretty common. Chicken feet. Chicken feet
I,
are another weird one.
I have not tried chicken feet, but I would.
Okay,
I don't
they look good.
I don't know if I would like it, but I would try it.
Yeah, I know a place where we can try chicken feet.
I mean, I'm not excited about trying it, but I will try it.
Yeah, if I yeah, you have to like chew the meat off and eat around the bones and the fingernails and stuff, which is a little.
Sounds so gross.
And I could be distorting that a bit, but like to me they look amazing.
Oh man.
Um,
Have you
but
ever
to me,
eaten
it's like the same idea of eating wings. I've eaten frog legs a million times.
I was about to ask, have you eaten frog legs? Do you
Yeah.
like frog legs?
I haven't had them since I was a kid, but like whenever we would go to the buffet and they would have those, load me up, dude.
Yeah.
I felt bad thinking about the amount of frogs that died so I can have their two little legs. But
There's so many of them though.
yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, frogs are super important, by the way,
Are they? Like for the
to the
ecosystem?
ecosystem. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was I took a class at a zoo in Nebraska where we became oh fuck, what was the word? It's like frog ambassadors. Um, they have a program where you go out and you report on what kind of frogs are where. You listen for their calls and stuff. So you
Okay.
can, yeah, it's pretty cool. They don't pay anything, so I don't really do it. But
Yeah. Right.
it's pretty fun experience. Oh man. Um,
Yeah.
but
So the point is, I'm not a picky eater. Now, I looked it up last night
uh,
because I was like, "Fuck this guy. He
uh,
does not know what he's talking about." And yeah, the definition of a picky eater is not anything like me.
I don't think that any article you read is qualified to define what a picky eater is.
Oh,
It's
but you are?
it's a definition that like varies from person to person. You see it as someone who is nutritionally
That
deficient.
isn't how definitions work.
Is there? It's no. It's a phrase. Like, how can you really like? Are you? Like, is there a real like a Webster's dictionary definition?
I am pretty sure there was.
Okay. If there is, I will concede this point. But um, I when someone won't try something, I think of them as a picky eater. I'm happy to hear you'll try chicken feet,
Yeah, I'll try pretty much everything but organs.
but not organs. There's something that weirds you out that much,
Yeah.
man. In Pennsylvania, we have something called scrapple, and we can get that here. And like
What is this?
texturally, that reminded me of haggis a bit. It's a. I really wish I had something to look this up, but it's a. I'm gonna look it up.
Look it up.
There's a hair on my phone. There's Grace's hair. That's nice.
We can do this. I mean, I'm gonna put the fucking definition of picky eater up on the screen when I edit this podcast.
Okay, scrapple, also known by the Pennsylvania Dutch name panhas, is a is a mush of pork scraps and trimmings combined with cornmeal and wheat flour, often buckwheat flour and spices. So pork scraps. This is like you eat hot dogs. What goes into a hot dog? You don't even know.
Is it organs?
It's the leftover scrappy bits. Who knows if it's probably not organs because I think organ meat is like again.
Yeah, I think it's just like
I don't think we eat organ meat that much here, but they're like I don't know. You can get like chicken hearts and gizzards and stuff at the grocery store.
yeah. I mean, I would maybe try heart because it's a muscle.
It's not. I mean, I've had chicken hearts.
It doesn't sound good, but I would try
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I think if they'd have to be cooked perfectly.
But I don't want. I don't want to try like liver
Liver is very
or
common and not.
stomach or intestines.
I
You know,
think
like
I think if you had a good liver pate, your mind would be blown. Liver pate on like just like a cracker or something is fucking great.
I just can't. I don't think I can move past the fact that it's a fucking liver, and it just sounds so gross. It's a liver.
I don't have this block, but I respect that you do.
Do you?
No, it bothers me.
I know it bothers you.
It tastes are a hard thing for me to come to terms with. When I like something, I cannot fathom why other people don't like it. But everyone has their own tastes.
Yeah.
So it really bothers me. Like I want you to like the thing I like.
Uh huh.
It's so good.
We like so much of the same things, though.
What's something we like together?
I mean, video games, podcasts,
Yeah.
movies,
Chicken sandwiches.
chicken sandwiches.
Man, chicken sandwiches.
We like
are
so much
good.
of the same food.
Yeah.
Do we have to agree on every single thing?
I'm gonna make you try haggis one day. There will be a day in our life where you'll have it and you'll be like, "Holy shit!" They serve it. They over in Scotland on the most menus. It's haggis, neeps, and tatties, and that's turnips and potatoes, along with your haggis, and they put a gravy on it. It's fucking awesome, dude. It's so fucking good.
I don't. I mean, I not
Like
that I have anything against turnips. I think I don't. I haven't eaten one in a long time. I think I remember I don't like turnips.
They're like it tastes like a mashed. But they're all the mashed potatoes and the turnips when it's all combined with the gravy. It kind of all tastes the same. It's really good though. But
Okay. All right.
picky eater covered. That really incensed. It made you incensed.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like it when people describe me as something that I'm not.
Do you remember the conversation
I
we had?
do remember.
You know
this
what I'm about to
conversation.
bring
I
up.
know exactly what you're about to bring up, and I need to be in charge of this story right now because I need to clearly lay something out.
It's good because I don't remember why I said this about you. I don't think I feel this way anymore. Maybe it was regards to food, but yeah, go on.
So it was. I'm almost positive it was in regards to eating sushi, which I have eaten and don't like.
Proud of you.
and you were like, "You're stubborn,"
Hmm.
and I am not stubborn.
You are. I definitely don't feel that way about you now.
Yeah, but I also wasn't then. Oh
But
no, no, you know what? I'm sorry. It was not about sushi. It was about going to the gym in the morning. That's what it was about.
oh, okay.
And I'm not a morning person.
Uh-huh.
I don't like to get up in the morning.
I know. What time do you wake up in the morning?
Like 10 or 11 every
Good.
day.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, like I'm a
What
night
time do you go to sleep?
anytime between like 1 and 4.
That's when you go to your bed, or that's when you fall asleep?
That's when I fall asleep. I fall asleep pretty much as soon as I get in bed, for the most part.
Okay.
So you called me stubborn, and I didn't like that because I'm not stubborn. And then I thought, I know what I'll do because my wife has my back.
She knows you better
She
than anyone in the
she
world.
knows. And I called her on the phone. And I said, "Leslie, this dingus is
Yeah.
calling me stubborn.
Yeah.
Tell him that I'm not stubborn." And she was like, "Well, I'm surprised you said that because I think you are stubborn."
No, it was close to that, but it was a voice message that you sent her, and she sent you one back so we could play it over and over. And she
Oh,
said,
that's right.
"Yeah, I'm surprised you say that because I was thinking about this. You're so stubborn."
Okay.
and my laughter. It's the funniest shit. Your fucking face dropped because we heard it at the same moment, and I was so vindicated, even though I really don't feel that way.
Yeah, okay. So I went and talked to her after that, and after a long conversation, she agreed that I'm not stubborn.
So you you refused to accept that you were
No, no,
stubborn,
no. See,
and then you were persistent enough with your stubbornness about being stubborn that your wife no longer felt that
no,
you
no,
were
no.
stubborn.
You can't because when you're trying to tell somebody they're stubborn and they're arguing that they're not. It's a catch-22. Like I can't argue that I am not this without you using that as proof of the fact that I am.
Yeah, this was so long ago that like I don't really remember the feelings of why I thought you were stubborn. You said it was because of the gym. I don't feel that way.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. I just thought that was a really funny moment. Your wife calling you out like that. It was
Yeah.
a real good moment.
Yeah, but she doesn't think that anymore either.
I know.
Because I
I remember
successfully
I remember
convinced
she
everybody.
told me specifically
I'm
that she
not.
doesn't think that because I brought that up. She, oh no, I thought about it and I don't think he's stubborn.
Good.
It's
So I
pretty,
just want everybody to know
pretty
I'm
hilarious.
not stubborn.
Yeah, I have my best friend is the most stubborn person I ever met. So anyone besides him, I don't think is stubborn anymore. This motherfucker.
What does he do?
He's just stuck in his ways about everything.
Hmm.
Like, I've been friends with him for over a decade, and we talk every single day, play games almost every day. Dude will never play an MMO. Doesn't care. Will never even give it a shot. It took until like 3 months ago to try to get him to play one. He played New World with me. We liked it, and then we got distracted by another game. But it's like these things that like he's staunchly against that he will just never do, and it takes me years of my life convincing him to do
Yeah.
something. Multiplayer
Sucks.
game. He never plays competitive multiplayer games. I understand. I hate them too. But like somehow I convinced him to get Warzone. The Warzone was free, so I convinced him to play Warzone, and he fucking likes it. And then a couple years go by, and then I finally convinced him to buy the multiplayer for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Guess what we do fucking almost every day? Play that dumb game. Even though we're both just doing the same dumb shit, it's like, I'm telling you, man, we can have fun. Like, we're
Yeah.
friends. It's fun just to do shit. But
I've never talked to this person, have I?
no, I think you'd like him. I mean,
Okay.
I like him. He's dope.
Cool.
Yeah.
What do I have?
Oh,
What do you want to talk about?
well, I wanted to tell you something I appreciate about you. Last podcast, all you did was tell me how shitty I was. So I'm going to tell you something I appreciate
Okay,
about
so
you.
you're gonna get me
No.
good here.
No,
Okay.
no, I'm going to tell you something I appreciate.
Oh, okay.
So for a while, we were talking about going to Ren Fair together, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I want to go. I want to go. Let me think about it. And then finally, recently, you were like, "Dude, I want to go, but like I don't want to go yet." And that I was like, "Thank fucking God." I appreciate your honesty
Oh,
because we don't need to dance around bullshit. Like I get it. Like I don't want to go to Ren Fair pretty often, but like it'd be cool to go together. But like
Yeah.
I also appreciate that you're not like just saying like maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really appreciate like being able to just be forward with each other.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I am that way. Like when I say maybe, it's because it's a maybe
Yeah.
for me.
Hmm.
Um, I, now this could be my own bias speaking, but I feel like I have a pretty good track record of when I say maybe, it's kind of like I sometimes do and sometimes don't, like
Yeah,
50-50.
sure.
But yeah, I thank you. I
But
appreciate
I
that.
appreciate you being forward
Thanks.
and honest. It's good. It's a good. There's too many people where I'll ask them stuff and they're just like, "I'll do this, man." Oh, good news. And this never happens or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
And
thanks, dude.
the other thing I was going to say, well, there's two things. Do you miss sleepovers with your friends? I mean, you have a sleepover with your friend every night, your wife. Same with
Yeah.
me. It's great. But do you miss like sleepovers at your buddy's house or do you still do that?
Uh, s- so conceptually, yes,
Yeah.
but I also, now that I'm an adult, I can't sleep anywhere,
Yeah.
which sucks.
Yeah.
Like when I was, I mean, we just slept on the ground with like a blanket
Dude.
and not even always a pillow.
It's crazy.
And
It's fucking nuts, dude.
how could I do that? Like I can't do that now as an adult.
Yeah.
I would wake up the next day in so much pain. It would ruin the whole day.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah,
don't you miss those bonding
yeah.
experiences?
I miss. We talked about this in the first podcast. I miss like hanging out with my friends for extended periods of time
Yeah.
because
Like
I love doing that. Like we're gonna do something for like 3 days. That sounds awesome.
I haven't had that in so long.
So I have two friends. We try to still do that once or twice a year. Where they'll come to my place or we'll go somewhere, and we're hanging out all day every day for 3 days,
Yeah, that's super dope.
and it's fun,
That's super
but
cool.
it's also exhausting. Like at the end, because we've talked about this. Like I'm an introvert, and so
Too
after
bad it was
three
just
days,
raining the whole time.
after 3 days of being around people and talking to people nonstop, all I want to do is just go sit in my room and talk to nobody for like a week. Like I have fun, but I'm exhausted by the end.
Yeah. I never made peace with like the last time I was gonna have a sleepover,
Hmm.
Last time I was gonna and it's that was it. One day I was like me and my friend Sean like grew up together. We'd have like stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning on the weekends,
Yeah.
just sleep over 2 nights in a row or whatever, and do stupid stuff, look at dumb internet videos, play dumb drinking games, stupid things, and now it's gone.
So when are we gonna do a sleepover?
Whatever, dude. I feel like uh I feel like we've talked about sleepover things multiple times. We just never executed. Maybe we'll do it one day.
Yeah.
You can't sleep here because I have my cats, so we'll have to either do it at your place
Yeah.
or somewhere else. Maybe go on a trip, a fishing trip, because I fish. I don't fish.
Do I was gonna say you do?
I like the idea of fishing. It sounds cool.
Yeah. It's I mean, I haven't fished in for forever, but it's really relaxing.
Yeah.
But then, like, I don't think I want to catch a fish.
No.
I want to just sit out there with a pole drinking beer.
Do they make like fishing hooks that don't hurt the fish? That'd be cool.
I don't think so.
Like airsoft guns, but for fishing.
They would still hurt the fish.
They would sting, but they wouldn't puncture it.
Yeah.
um,
All right. Well,
do you have any other real life stuff to talk about before we cover games?
real life stuff? I don't think so.
Okay. Sort of as a tangent.
Actually,
Okay.
you know what? Sorry, I do
Yeah.
have something. Because this is a question I wanted to ask you. Somebody breaks into your house at night. Who's fighting? Who fights the bad guy?
It's more than I mean it's 100% going to be Grace.
Yeah.
She's more fighty. I mean she got guns. I don't
Yeah.
have guns.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if someone breaks in, it's a bad day for them.
Yeah.
Uh,
Is that okay? So is that comforting, knowing that you sleep with a badass who will fight people?
I've never I guess I've never thought I'm not man, I got to be honest. I used to live in Philly where I was afraid of people breaking in
Yeah.
and I was really anxious about sleeping all the time. I live in the suburbs now and I just like it's such a non-concern for me
Totally.
that I feel thankful. So like I am comforted knowing that like yeah, if someone breaks in, it's not going to be a problem. But like I just also don't think it would happen.
Yeah. That's something I think about. Okay, like Leslie's the teacher.
Uh-huh.
So like I'm gonna have to fight. And I'm not a fighting type guy.
Have Have you been in a fight?
I've been in a fight.
Really, I have never
It's
fought.
not fun. It's not a good time. It's probably a better time for somebody of your size and strength because like you're gonna just physically overpower most people.
Yeah,
I will not. I'm gonna just like have to like fatly lay on them until they get exhausted. That's like my
right,
only like I don't have a ton of upper body strength.
right.
I will probably have more mass. So I just have to run at them. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess part of a real benefit of being my size is that um, no one has ever started anything with me.
I bet.
Um, so I've never had to fight anyone. I did some MMA in high school, and jujitsu and Muay Thai. So like, I did a little bit of sparring, and that was fine. I really like jujitsu. But yeah, I've never had to fight. I'm not like a. I can't. I don't like violence at all.
Me neither. Yeah, I was um, a door guy at a bar for many years
Like a
in
bouncer
college.
or just someone who checked the.
Just check IDs. But I mean, I had to bounce people periodically.
Wow.
It sucked. And like because I'm not the biggest dude, I have to go from nothing to a 10 to get because like I can't I don't have an imposing threatening presence.
Right,
So I have to make them think that I'm just gonna go fucking crazy and like mess their world up.
dude.
Even though I don't want to because I'm not a violent person.
I guess I've never seen you go crazy. What does that look like? Like if you can describe it, you don't have to go crazy, but
Um I mean it's pretty boilerplate, pretty standard crazy guy.
is it like in I Love You Man where he just starts screaming at the guy because he didn't pick up his dog poop? He's like, sometimes you gotta go crazy.
It's not quite like that.
Okay.
But I mean I'd get in people's faces and
Wow.
like just be very aggressive and shove them out and then I would thank God they didn't fight back because I don't want to do fight.
Yeah. It's a crazy job that normal people have to have is like, you know, not really security, but security. Like,
Right.
completely no training, just a dude standing at a door. And, having to deal with drunk people that might be real unhinged, especially with a bunch of alcohol in them.
That's the only saving grace of that job was that anytime I did have to get aggressive with people, they were so drunk that it was like even if they started to get aggressive back, it's like you're a drunk toddler. Like you don't even know what's happening. Like you're so drunk, you just kind of like shove them and get them out, and then lock the door when they leave.
You just reminded me of a time where I was physical with someone.
Okay,
I was 13 years old. I was on a cruise ship. My sister was 16 years old.
how
And
big were you at 13?
about 230 pounds.
That's
I was
crazy.
6 foot. I was like maybe an inch short. I was huge.
That's
I think I
crazy.
was max height by then. I was either 6'2" or 6'3" by
Oh man,
then. Big,
yeah.
big boy. Old enough that like I could buy alcohol on the cruise ship at 13. Um, yeah. So my sister, I found out was being hit on by some older drunk dude in a hot tub, and she was just hanging out with her friends. And this is like a dude like I don't. It's hard to say how old he was. In my mind, he was like like late 20s, early
Hmm.
30s. But just some sloppy drunk that was like making my sister uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And I came over to like her yelling at him and him yelling back. And I remember I just like got in his face and he was yelling and I just pushed him and he fell down and he walked away and then his shoe and his wallet were on the ground and I just threw him into the ocean. um,
Oh man.
and like there's a huge part of me that feels bad about that because it's like that is such an inconvenience for some. But then I'm like, dude, he was hitting on a 13 or 16-year-old. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course this is no problem.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I think you did the right thing.
yeah. I that was assault though, right? Pushing someone, that's assault.
I mean, I guess in a vacuum it is, but if I think you had a reasonable fear that this person was being aggressive with a member
Yeah,
of your family,
yeah,
and also you're 13,
yeah. 13,
um, apparently enormous 13-year-old.
huge,
That's
huge.
crazy. Did you feel awesome after that?
No, I felt bad.
Really?
Yeah,
You just felt bad about. Did you feel bad about the? Okay, did you feel awesome about pushing the guy, or feel bad about that too?
felt bad about everything.
Man,
Yeah, um,
I feel like I would have. I don't know.
it's
I've never
you
experienced
know,
being
your
a.
adrenaline is pumping.
Oh yeah,
You know, um, but I just remember being like, I could get in trouble. Like, what's he gonna do without his wallet?
yeah.
You know, but
Have you? Speaking of your adrenaline pumping, you know that phrase like, um, you're just seeing red.
mhm.
Have you experienced that?
As an angsty teenager, maybe.
Yeah.
I remember uh, me and my dad just arguing over something, and like, it's always like something like I can't even remember what the argument was about, but I remember punching the front door, which is just a metal door, and leaving a dent in it, and then I fucked up my my
God,
knuckle.
dude.
um, and that was like that that angsty teenager energy I grew out of pretty fast.
Yeah.
But that yeah, no, someone my size, like, it's really bad for to be angry.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Because you could so easily
yeah,
hurt somebody without meaning to.
yeah. I
It's
say
tough.
I say my strong emotions lean towards sad and rather than like angry at a person.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I was a little more I mean, I was a lot more aggressive when I was younger, but that like after a couple of years in college, that just that level. I don't know if it's like testosterone or what, but I just am like, I don't want to. It's too much work. It's too much work to be mad.
Dude. Yeah, being
It's
angry is
so much effort.
yeah. We were talking about me being intimidating, and the flip side of that, and I've this is a problem in my daily life, is that like I look so unapproachable and scary.
Hmm.
And like part of that is like, yeah, I have a beard and that comes with the territory. And I'm also, yeah, 6'3", um, big dude. And but like people like cross the street when they see me, dude. It doesn't hurt, but it's like, man, I wish that like more people would just like be friendly with me.
Yeah. No, it hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
You know. So, in our old place, I used to go walking, just right outside our complex. There's just this really long sidewalk path, and people would cross the street often. And I'm not like I don't think I'm overtly
You're
intimidating,
not intimidating. And this isn't an insult. I'm just saying you're not an intimidating person.
but it's still I'm just like, "Oh man, why why you got to do that?"
Yeah.
Makes me feel bad about myself. Like am I too fat? Is you don't think there's enough room on the sidewalk for us
That
to walk by each
see,
other?
that's a fucked up thought that I also agree with. I'm like, people judge me more because I'm fat, and like they just like their snap judgment is worse
Yeah.
because of my weight. Like, who fucking cares? No one fucking cares. But yeah,
But I know that like, Leslie will cross the street when she's coming up against somebody
particularly a dude.
passing a dude.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
like I never think about that, but for her it's like she just doesn't even want there to be the possibility that some guy's going to do something weird.
Yeah, yeah. That is definitely an issue that women face that we've never even had to consider basically. you
Yeah.
know, of that. But Grace, when she goes out alone, like sometimes she'll come back and be like, "This dude hit on me, and I made him feel like a fucking idiot." I'm like, I love that about you
It's
because like
great.
she can, she's very good at just like someone will make a comment about her butt or something, and she'll be like, "Excuse me, what did you say?" And he's like, and she'll be like, "Did you just make a comment about my butt like in the middle of like a Target?" And they'd be like, "No," and his like girlfriend's right here. I was like, "Is this your boyfriend?" It's weird. He just made a comment about my butt. I didn't think that was very appropriate. And like shit like that, I'm like, that is so
I
dope.
love that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
she's like a take no fucking shit kind of lady. Um, but anyways, beyond dumb real life stuff,
Yeah.
you got some games to talk about?
Yeah, but first,
Oh,
I have a movie to talk about.
oh, really? What movie?
Have you seen Knock at the Cabin?
Is that the M. Night
Yeah.
Shyamalan one? Yes.
Okay, can I get your thoughts on it?
I want to preface this by saying I've thought every M. Night Shyamalan movie pretty much since Signs has been pretty garbage.
Mhm.
I liked The Village.
I did
Um,
like The Village.
yeah. This one was pretty good. Um,
Okay.
I, 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 I mean, there was nothing about it where I was like, I hate this. Um, I say pretty good. It was, you know, an acceptable movie, and I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah. That's how I felt too.
Yeah.
And because so I think that I liked it I think that it was better in my opinion because of how bad his movies have been. So when I was watching it, I was like, "Holy shit. This this is like coherent dialogue.
Dude.
These are real characters. Good job, M. Night Shyamalan."
Yeah. I think maybe that it helps because like he might have written the screenplay, but it was based on a book, right?
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think it was, and I think people said the ending in the book was different. Um,
Yeah.
but
But still, like he did a live action Avatar that was, we're not even supposed to talk about is so bad. So
yeah, I mean, I tried to watch his last. I don't know if it's his last movie, but Old. The dialogue is it's insane that like
yeah.
he started filming this and was like, this is how people talk. It's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Um, at least this one felt like there was some good character motivation, and it succeeded in sort of having you wonder what was real and what wasn't,
Mhm.
and then the ending was good, and it wasn't like I wasn't waiting for some dumb M. Night Shyamalan twist. It was just an ending.
Yeah, exactly. This is and the theme I was really interested in because I feel like spiritual biblical horror is such an underutilized theme.
Yes.
And it is like it's primed for so much content. Like the biblical descriptions of angels
So
are
cool.
horrific. I mean, yeah, they're almost Lovecraftian in a way.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like a
and
floating orb of eyes.
yeah,
Yeah.
like how is there not more of this?
You say this and it frustrates me because you have not read this book that I recommended to you, and it is such a fantastic fucking book. It's
Okay,
called Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman. Buehlman, Buehlman, I think. It is free on Audible if you have a subscription, and it is a historical biblical fantasy horror. Fantasy.
okay,
So like it's set somewhere in like France, um, but it is like it's as horrific a portrayal of demons and hell and all that stuff as can be.
okay.
And it's fantastic.
I'll check it out. I think I actually bought it and then I forgot that I bought it
Yeah.
or
It's
downloaded it or whatever.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I had about movies.
Okay. What have you been playing?
Path of Exile.
Yeah, we played it together, but you've been playing more than me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I was you know, I think they have a skeleton crew working on these leagues because uh they're not nearly as intricate as past leagues because I think most of their developers are working on PoE 2.
So the entire league mechanic is just that crucible thing.
Yes.
That's the only thing that this league has added.
There is I don't know what else there is. There's you go to a crucible at some point. There's like another zone you can go to
Okay.
that lets you do something more. But I haven't been there. I don't know what that is because I haven't really gotten far into in game.
Okay. So just recap. PoE is a extremely in-depth action RPG,
Yep.
and you've been playing it for years. And can you explain what the crucible mechanic, as you know of it right now, is?
So the crucible mechanic is every weapon can have a passive skill tree attached to it. What those skills are random to a degree. I think certain base types will I think certain passives can only roll on certain base types,
Okay.
weapon base types. Um,
So it's,
but
it's basically a way to make your weapons more powerful, and you sort of have some agency over how that goes.
yeah, but I didn't realize this until yesterday. They put a lot of really cool shit in the later skill trees. So there are skills you can unlock that completely change how an ability works. So,
Got it.
for example, there is, and this is a character I think we're going to make, there is a skill called Exsanguinate, and it is a physical skill that like fires these tendrils at enemies. It does physical damage, and then it applies a physical damage over time component. Um, Now, one of the skills converts 100% of that physical damage to fire, but it also converts its damage over time component to fire. Because if you just use the skill tree regularly to convert that skill to fire, the damage over time component wouldn't convert. So what that does is you can now you're dealing that burning damage because it converts it to fire and deals the dot as burning damage.
Uh
And now you can leverage all of the passives on the skill tree
huh.
that increase your burning damage.
Gotcha.
Um, so and there's a ton of things like that. Like I think I was telling you this last night. There's a skill that lets 2 cold spells deal poison damage,
Yep.
and that's typically very rare and really hard to get non-physical or non-chaos skills to poison. So that opens up like a whole new build path that you can like a whole new way to play a character.
Got it.
Um, and they are doing pretty interesting things with every skill in the game. Like every skill has a unique effect.
How many skills would you say are in Path? Is it like not support gems, but just like active
Active
skills?
skill gems, there are probably 100,
It's a lot.
maybe more.
It's a lot.
There's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Um,
the possibilities in that game are insane. I have a bit of a bone to pick with you about.
yeah,
Last week we talked about it, how it was approachable, and most of that is manufactured. And man, this week just reinforced how fucking difficult that game is to play. So I started off, and this is not a complaint. This is just
mhm,
I like the game, but I started off, and they made they don't make it clear to you that the league mechanic is really fucking hard. And so like the first area I died. And I died, and like there's partially it's a skill issue, but it's like I only have one skill so far. I'm literally in the second area, and I'm getting my butt kicked.
yeah,
And then when me and you got together and we were co-oping, we were like, I don't know, 4 hours in, and I was like, dude, my damage is pretty low. And you're like, what is it at? I'm like, this, and you're like, that cannot be right. And it's just like I'm just replacing my gear with gear that I think is better, but like every piece of gear has like at least 8 stats to look at, and it's hard for someone just coming in to understand like, you really want to focus on these things and not these, even though these seem like, oh,
yeah,
lightning damage, I'm doing lightning, that seems important. It's like, oh well, this is probably better. Like there's so much information that for someone to just like kind of play casually is very hard.
yeah. I guess it's hard for me to put myself in the correct frame of mind because I have put an obscene amount of time into this game.
Yeah.
Um,
How many hours would you say?
I don't think that's something we need to talk about.
There's nothing wrong with. I'm envious that you've played a game this much. I think
It kind of is embarrassing how much I've played of this
there's
game.
nothing embarrassing about it. Cut
Okay,
that off.
so 5,000 hours.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, it's embarrassing because I think about like what
What?
what else could I have done with 5,000? And I know that's not a productive line of thinking. Absolutely.
I mean, I think I think it's reasonable to assume that. How many years has Path been out? How long have you been playing it?
I've been playing it since I started at Rooster Teeth, so 2015.
Yeah, so like at least 7-8 years.
Yeah, the
Um,
calculating the math on how much I spend playing Path per year is a little
I
a little
mean,
disturbing.
I think it's reasonable to say that like people who are into games accumulate that much time over different games in a similar amount of years.
Yeah.
And like to me, I'm like, I wish I could have a game that grabs me to propel me to play for more than like my highest played game on Steam is like 420 hours.
Hmm.
Um,
So you don't really dive into games like long term.
Not anymore. Like when I used to play, like WoW, I probably have 100 and something days. A lot of hours into Guild Wars. I played games for over 1,000 hours, um, but nowadays I would say like the most I'll get out of a game is like 100 to 150 hours.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, and to be fair, that's what I get out of most games.
but like,
The games that keep me coming back, that keep me like really obsessed for a long time, are the games that I keep finding. Like I like build crafting.
I know, and I I like trying builds. I am not as good at. I mean, I'm not good at it. I don't even attempt to make builds because people are already doing it. And you have that part of your brain where you can keep track of the 100 active skills and 6,000 passive gems or whatever, or support gems to like sort of think about that in your mind of what would work best.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, part of that is just the amount of time I've spent playing it, but I mean, I for the most part, I'm like extremely reliant on the wiki.
Hmm.
You know, like I see something cool, like that this like freezing pulse can poison, and I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna look up the wiki, like what are my cold damage options, what are my poison damage options, like look at the passive tree, type in cold, type in poison, like
Hmm.
what are my options here,
Got it.
and like that's how I'm gonna make builds. Like I don't just like piece things together on the fly.
Yeah. I remember in the office, you and Adam would have these discussions about like theory crafting, and I was like, man, this is I'm jealous because I love the idea of making builds, but I'm more of like a look up a build and play a build kind of
Yeah,
guy. But I understand, like I get why that's so appealing to you. But there's definitely nothing shameful about that. I think it's fucking awesome.
yeah,
Like I think most people with short attention spans for games would love to have a game like that.
yeah.
Um, right now, I don't have one. Although, like that Call of Duty game is the one I have the most hours in. And that only came out in November, which is ridiculous. But
Um, but yeah, that's all I've been playing this week.
yeah.
Honestly,
We were talking yesterday a bit about the co-op in that game and how it's sort of imbalanced and like hard to. It's interesting. I never really thought about why it felt weird to play co-op. Like I'm enjoying hanging out with you and playing games, but like there's times where it's like you're moving fast and killing stuff in front of me, and I'm just following. And I'm sure that happens to you with other people, and it makes the pace of that game, like you were saying, is so fast that it makes it hard to balance co-op.
yeah. So I think that problem will get better when we get to endgame
Hmm.
because right now, because I've put so much time into Path, I know all the map tells. So
Hmm.
like I know exactly where the door is to the next zone. Um, so I'm just kind of moving that direction. Now, when we get into maps, it's like most maps are pretty linear.
Hmm.
We're just gonna go this way and kill everything we see
Yeah.
until we get to the boss, and that will. I think at that point that'll feel a little bit less like you're just following.
Hmm.
Um, but I get it because I think I even complained about that to you about a past experience I had with Path of Exile,
Yeah.
where like it's not fun to just follow. Um, so sorry,
No,
I don't,
it's not.
but yeah, like I
It's not.
also don't know how else to.
I'm not like I enjoy that game, and I think I'm gonna once we get to a point where we're end game geared, it's gonna be fun to co-op, but it's also fun to like break off and farm.
Yeah,
Those like that's what I like to do in those games is get a build online and working so that I can go farm hard areas and get cool loot. I
yeah.
love seeing loot pop up, and I'm like that's exciting.
And the
That's a
end
good
game, dude.
dopamine.
The end game is so good.
Yeah, I have not done a ton of mapping. Is that what endgame is still?
Hmm.
I haven't done a ton of it, but I've done some of it, and yeah, it's always been fun.
So you haven't experienced the Atlas skill tree.
No.
Ugh. It's the best in game. I mean, nothing comes close. Nothing comes even close to Path of Exile in game. Certainly not Diablo, but not even any other RPGs that I like that I've played, like Grim Dawn or Last Epoch. You have there's so many systems that you get to play around with in the end game, and the Atlas skill tree gives you the ability to supercharge them and turn off systems you don't like. So if you don't like Blight, which is the like tower defense kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where if you're like, I hate this mechanic, you get to a point in the Atlas skill tree. Every time you complete a map, you get an Atlas skill bonus. You can just be like, Blight never shows up in my maps.
That's awesome.
But I love Legion, which is the thing that spawns a ton of monsters. Um, I'm gonna make that supercharged, and I'm gonna make that like uh, better rewards, and have it show up in every single map I run.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Like yeah, the concepting what end game should be for games seems like a really big challenge,
Mm-hmm.
and that sounds dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to keep playing. My build hasn't come online yet, but we're doing damage. You got me some uniques, and I'm having fun.
Yeah.
I like lightning. Lightning's cool,
Yeah.
and the more I can chain that lightning, the better I'll feel.
Yeah. And pretty soon you'll get to a point where you're just shitting out tons of arcs, and I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, fun game.
Nice. What
Uh,
have you been playing?
we talked a couple weeks ago about Dungeon Siege and Guild Wars, and I've been dipping back into both of those.
Okay.
So I started playing Dungeon Siege again just to like look at it because I was like, I missed the way this game looks, and then I started playing. I'm like, oh fuck, this is a good game. Like still,
What are you playing on?
PC.
Steam?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. There, I had a crashing bug that was fixed by just lowering the shadows and the level of detail. Doesn't change the way it looks that much because it's old as hell anyway. But that was fixed in case you're going to play it. So it is. I said it was like a Diablo like, and I think that was a bit of my memory kind of misleading me. It is an isometric game. You can, but I guess isometric's not the right word because you can move the camera. It is sort of a top-down game with a similar, like if you're looking at it in a screenshot, it's a similar angle to Diablo and all that. But you can move the camera around, you can zoom in pretty close to your character. Although, like generally, you're going to be playing from a far back camera, and you're clicking to move. There's no
Okay.
WADs, and you're killing hordes of enemies. And hordes back then were a bit smaller, but still like 20 to 40 enemies on screen at a time, which is a lot. But the game has a party system that is sort of unique to it. Like, so the game only has it has melee, it has ranged, it has combat magic, and it has nature magic. So there are basically four archetypes,
Okay.
and the game is very much a use something and get experience for it. So if I use melee weapons, I'm going to get strength and I'm going to get melee skill damage. If I use ranged, it's going to be dexterity and I will get ranged skill damage. And if I use spells, whether it be combat magic or nature magic, I will either get one of those leveled up and I will get intelligence leveled up to give me more mana. So it's very much like basic archetypes from back then. But so if the thing is if you're sort of trying to split your attributes and be like a combo of two things because you want to try two things, you will generally not be able to keep up with the gear that you're getting because you won't have gotten enough experience for each thing.
I see.
So I was doing that in the beginning, and now I'm just focusing on melee. But you get all these party members, and you can have up to 6, I think, and you can control them as if they were your. You can. I think you can disband the main character from your party and never see him again, which is really weird.
And play as one of the others?
And play as one of the others because,
Interesting.
like in the second chapter, you walk in, he's like, and the farmer wouldn't know what lay ahead of him next. Would he change the fate of the world? Then I accidentally clicked disband. It's like, do you want to get rid of the farmer? I'm like, no, he's the main character. But so the way the game controls is like you have basically 4 action slots: melee, ranged, and then 2 spell slots. So I basically have just set everyone to auto attack and auto move. So I'll just click to a general area, and when enemies are around, they will just do whatever they do. And so I have like myself as the melee character set to just do melee, the ranger set to do range. I have one person set to do healing magic in case anyone gets low, and then I have another person set to do like combat magic. So the game kind of plays itself in that way. Like it's not as active as like a Diablo,
Mhm.
a modern Diablo is, or a PoE is, but there's something about those old games and the way the gear is designed. It just looks cool, and like your upgrades feel really significant. Like I had a bunch of armor and a weapon waiting for me from when I got to level 13 strength, and when I got that and I put it all on, my character was like invincible. I'm having fun exploring the world and getting cool loot, and it's just like it's a good dungeon crawler. You're going into these long ass catacombs or whatever they might be. It's just fun to dungeon crawl and all that.
Cool. Can you co-op that game?
You could, but they turned off the multiplayer servers.
It's been so long.
I think that there is probably a way to connect with people because that's the other thing I should bring up is that like these still have active communities, both Guild Wars and Dungeon Siege. And I looked up stuff. I was looking stuff up like should I do this? And I was finding forums from 2002 forum posts. I'm like, this is fucking crazy.
Damn.
It's so nuts to read stuff from back then.
Yeah.
Like, wow, these were people.
Yeah.
But the Reddit is still not like super active for Dungeon Siege, but there's still posts, and you can still look up information there. And I think I've seen posts of people being like, "Hey, you want to link up?" Those are fairly old, but Guild Wars is surprisingly still active. Like last night, I went on it, and there was 140 people browsing the subreddit, which for a 2004 game is a lot.
That's surprising.
Yeah, and like the first page was posts from within the last day for the most part.
Yeah, that's really surprising. It's interesting and a bummer that they went in such a different direction for Guild Wars 2 because I really disliked Guild Wars 2.
What did you dislike about it so much?
I really hated the I don't remember the right term for it, but like the field interaction mechanic where like I'm creating one type of circle AoE field, and if another type of skill shoots a projectile through that, like that's how you're supposed to be enhancing your combat.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was the payoff for doing that was really small. And like the combat just ended up feeling really floaty and not, to me, not very fun.
Yeah. So the thing that Guild Wars 1 did was the max level was 20. So it wasn't very high. You could, if you were skilled and had friends, you could get to level 20 in like a day. And then the gear was a pretty flat level of upgrade, kind of like the way Guild Wars 2 was, where you get the max level gear pretty quickly, and your skill, like the gear never gets better. And then instead, the treadmill is getting better looking gear and farming for money to buy dyes for that gear, and then also the skills in that game were the amount of skills are so vast that it took a lot of money to buy the skills from the vendors, and then it took a lot of effort to go and get them from the world, like get those elite skills. And I think those skills for me and in making those builds was where the fun was at. And then in 2, it felt like they got rid of all the fun skills. Like it became so basic. Like there was
nothing to do
small
in
amount of
game.
skills. And then the flatness of the gear didn't bother me as much because like you could farm. There's a ton of cool looking shit you could do to farm. Like doing the legendary quests seemed fun if you're into that game, but like the combat diversity was gone, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like it was something like each weapon had 4 skills.
Mm-hmm. And then you could swap weapons, and that was it.
Yeah. And then like you had a few other support skills that you could slot in, and a very small, slight skill tree.
Yeah, and I think what they, I guess, hoped the like interesting combat diversity would come from was from mixing and matching these like field effects. I know field is not the right word, but I
know what you're saying.
And yeah, like the group of friends I was playing with at the time, we tried. We were like, we're gonna just try to get these combos working, and yeah, the payoff was just not there.
Yeah, it was. I put a couple hundred hours in, and then I just like the combat, which was where the fun was for me. Like the combat and build diversity was just gone.
Yeah.
I didn't. I liked the world. I liked the public quests. You know what I really liked was the map completion stuff, like the jumping puzzles. Oh my fucking god! But anyways, yeah, the map completion stuff was really fun.
Hmm.
I love checklist stuff like that, and there was, jumping puzzles are fun and interesting.
Oh, amazing in that game.
Um, you know,
There was so much about that game that was great, and if I just feel like they just man, if they just had done a little bit better about finding some type of satisfying in-game grind, other than cosmetics, is like cosmetics are fine as a for me as a side project to like getting gear that makes my character better or significantly changes the way I play.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, and that is like in the original Guild Wars, like it was all basically once you got to a certain point, like you couldn't really get upgrades to your gear. It was just like getting the different looks. But the flip side is like putting builds together in that game was insane and um, so much fucking fun. Like I just loaded up my 55 HP monk, and my 55 HP monk was something that someone made, and there was the end game of Guild Wars One had something called the Underworld, and it was this incredibly hard dungeon sort of thing that you did with people that took a full party of really skilled people knowing what they were doing. But with this build, you could do it alone. Um,
so cool.
because like I think the main skill it focused on was you could never lose to more than 10% of your health in a single hit, and if you had 55 HP, that was 5 HP, and then you had a bunch of you had basically like max heal over times. So like you were constantly ticking up health so fast that like yeah, one hit was 5, but every second you were getting like 10 or 15 health back.
Mm,
So it was like you could never out damage your healing. Um, kind of build, and
that's
it
cool.
was dope. And it was one of those like you could only do it if you had like in the beginning of Guild Wars. There's a section called pre-searing, which is basically like the prologue to the game, and you have to have an item from that. And once you leave the prologue, you can never go back. And it was an item that you could only get and never sell because it was always specific for your character. So like you would have to like know going into making your monk that you have to get that item before you do anything. So
Interesting.
yeah,
That yeah, that's cool.
that kind of shit's fun.
Yeah.
But I'm playing a lot of Guild, not a lot. I started playing it again, and I've tried playing it a few times over the years, and there's been a few expansions, and the original game is called Prophecies, and most of my nostalgia comes from that. I think about all the challenges and the areas that you get to in that game, and that's what I want to relive. So every time I've gone back to play, it's like I'm going to go back and play that expansion. And what I failed to realize and sort of what's been happening is that shit is the hardest expansion, or the hardest of compared to the expansions, the hardest campaign of the games to play.
Hmm.
And without real people, it makes it r- probably impossible, like in the middle of the game, to get any further. And there are henchmen in that game, so you can get bots to fill your party out, but like they're just not good enough
Yeah.
compared to the real
You need
people.
somebody with a real build.
And
Yeah.
there are still people playing, but like it's hard to go out and find people to complete whatever you're doing at any given time. So this time around, what I'm doing is I made a character in what people say is the most balanced expansion, which is a later one called Nightfall. And so far, it's been pretty good. And I'm I went back and looked through all my characters and their skills, and I'm remembering what made the game so special. And I'm already looking at build sites of things I want to do. And yeah, like I wish that I had people to play with because that does make the game like that
Yeah.
in like in the reverse of PoE, like that game is so party focused. Like you have to have people that can clear status effects like slows off of you. You have to have people to worry about bleeds. Your healers are so vital to you. Like movement skills are really vital. Like AoE, like the party synergizes in such an important way in that game. Um, that playing without them, like you can play with NPCs at least for this expansion. Seems like it's been okay so far. Um, but yeah, I think like late game stuff um, you want people to play with. But
That's such good design. Like it's as a player, is it feels so good when you bring something unique to to the table because you feel so rewarded
yeah,
for doing that unique thing.
totally.
And that's how I felt about early WoW. I think accomplished that pretty well. Now it's just it doesn't feel like that, um, but yeah, like I think that that's one of the things that MMOs, that's like at the core of what makes MMOs interesting, is like giving people the ability to do something unique. I mean, unique within, I mean, reason. Like there's probably 10,000 people doing the same thing,
Mhm.
but like you feel like you're doing something unique.
Yeah, yeah, man. There's so much about that game. I don't know if you know this, but like there are something like 10 classes. I don't know. I don't remember the exact number, but you have a primary profession, which is your main class that you started as, and then you have a secondary profession that you can swap between. So you can be a warrior monk or a warrior necromancer or a warrior elementalist. So you're combining the skills from those two roles to make something. Um,
It's a little bit like Rift in that
I
regard.
don't remember. I played Rift, but I cannot remember it. But maybe
Okay.
it's like, yeah, you can be a warrior that is mainly melee focused, but then has monk skills to back you up.
It's cool.
With some limitations, like some things are exclusive to being a primary role monk or whatever, or primary. Maybe it's not skills that are exclusive to that. Maybe it's gear, but regardless, the amount of skills per class is so insane that like your build options are enormous. And then the way they handle attributes in that game is like they directly show you what each attribute will do for any given skill, like what number will change. So, and you can change that stuff at will. Like in a town, you can uh, reset your attributes to whatever you want them to be. Um, it's really good, man. It still holds up way better than you might think. There's some dated things about it, and I'm having some rubber banding issues, which apparently are pretty normal, which sucks.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think I'm gonna keep playing it. I'm starting to remember why I like that game so much.
I might check it out when I'm over the current PoE sprint.
Yeah,
I might check that out. It sounds cool.
yeah,
I'm desperate for an MMO. I mean, we talk about this all the time.
yeah.
Um, with this is like 50% of why we wanted to start a podcast.
To talk, complain about MMOs.
Like, I miss MMOs so much, and I miss there being a good one, and or a new, even a new one, and there just isn't. I think
Yeah,
everybody's just kind of waiting for Riot to see what they do.
that's I'm beyond excited for that.
Oh, me too.
I think that's like the only MMO project I think will not get canceled or be trash.
Yeah,
Because
I
there's been
agree.
so many over the years where you're like, this is exciting. EverQuest Next canceled. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Like,
like I've been following Ashes of Creation, but I'm not sure that game's ever coming out.
dude, that game is. It's one of those like there are things that they show. I'm like that looks interesting, but like there's no way that this is going to come out
Yeah,
and be what they want it to be. But I hope it does. But
yeah.
I don't think it will. What was the what have been like the last few MMOs you've really gotten into?
Dude, I don't even know. I mean, I've
Did you
just been
play
playing WoW.
WildStar?
Playing
Did you
WoW.
play WildStar with us?
No, I
No, that was before you.
I tried playing WildStar when they did like a remaster,
Hmm.
and I tried playing it, and it was fine. I just I, I think everybody at the time, I think everybody I was playing with fell off pretty quickly,
Gotcha.
and then I was like, okay,
Yeah, sometimes MMOs die so quickly. Like that one, I felt like it only took a few years before they shut it down, and I'm so sad because I really liked that game. I just like after about a month, I had some travel, then I fell behind on my friends, and then that was it.
yeah. I played a lot of Rift, and I really liked Rift.
Hmm.
Um, they did their class system was really cool because it was a lot like what you were saying Guild Wars was every archetype had 3 skill trees, and you could combine skill trees from any other archetype. So like you have a primary skill tree and then a secondary skill tree from any archetype. I think. I hope I'm remembering this
Hmm.
correctly. But yeah, there was so many interesting builds you could do, and to this day, one of my favorite um, characters I've ever played. I think it was called Blink Stalker. So it was one of the rogue archetypes, and it was a tank, but it was an evasion tank, and it had all of these um, buffs that you got when you were blinking. So it was just teleporting around, um, and that's how it was tanking. It would like teleport to enemies and teleport to enemies, and that's how you would control the fight and control the encounter and get your evasion buffs up and get your damage mitigation buffs up. And it was such a unique tank, and I miss that so much. Like I've never seen any game try to do something like that before, and it
Hmm.
was so fun. And it had the side benefit of was one of the most broken builds in PvP. because you could, particularly for like they had a capture the flag mode like Warsong Gulch and WoW.
Hmm.
And you're in this class, you're just blinking around, and you have so much movement speed, nobody can catch you. And it was
Damn.
the most fun. Like I would just run to the flag, blink all over the place, and then I was like already back at home base. It was the best.
It's one of my regrets that I didn't play that with you guys when you were playing it. I
Yeah,
have a lot of those, but that's definitely one of them. I tried to, and I don't know why I couldn't get into it.
it doesn't look good.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
It's not a it's an ugly game, and the skill effects are really ugly.
Didn't they ruin it at some point?
Yeah, I think it went free to play. It's still out there. I think you can
Yeah,
still play it. It's just free to play, pay to win. I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
Like most MMOs go to when their subscriber base dies.
yeah.
Um, I'm going to be really curious if Riot integrates AI with their MMO, because I think that's going to be the next big leap for MMOs. Because
Just for like content generation.
yeah, well, so okay, this is something I've long thought about MMOs. Um, what makes MMOs unique and immersive is the feeling of being like existing in a world,
Hmm.
and the emergent experiences you can have with other players, and like just the zones, like how many we could probably talk do a whole podcast on WoW memories,
Hmm.
like all the dumb, funny, ridiculous things we did in WoW. But and that's interesting because the world is static,
Yeah,
and there's no meaningful interaction with NPCs. There's no meaningfully changing anything in the world. So I've long had this thought that like this is impossible, but for a company to like pay people as like actors in the game to provide unique experiences for players. Now, obviously, impossible, way too expensive, and and so prohibitive. Like if you have 10 million people playing, how the fuck are you gonna interact with those people?
yeah.
Like maybe one out of 1,000 people might get a unique interaction. But and I don't know if you've seen what some of the AI uh, NPC stuff is, what's going on with some of those games where they're able to let AI, like governing AIs, control NPCs and have real dialogue with players. And that I feel like opens up the door for MMOs to like the next evolution in an MMO. Because if you give a governing AI over NPCs enough power to like control the story and to make its own decisions, assuming that doesn't end up wrecking the game in some weird way, every player that can interact with that person will have a similar but unique experience.
Yeah.
And you could let that AI design rewards that are unique. So you can have like there will be so much storytelling potential because one person's gonna say like, "Oh, I talked to this NPC and he told me to go kill boars," and the other person would be like, "That's weird. Like, he told me to go get this thing from the mountain."
Right.
And I don't know. I think that's
I get what you're saying, and
that's what I'm hoping for.
I think we're gonna be on our way there. I think that like there's a lot of strife with AI right now, particularly with AI art, because the way AI art is being generated is just by stealing artists' work, or not
Yeah.
even that. It's like looking at artists' work, taking that, and then making something else out of it, with no credit or anything like that. So it's like it's terrifying for artists, rightfully so. Um, but I think that like in the next few years, that will become a tool to artists and to developers, just like 3D printing is to a physical artist. Um,
Yeah.
and
I
there's
mean,
like props.
yeah. I have I I don't I think fearing AI is wrong. Like I think that's the wrong way to think about it, of like it's going to take our jobs, because there's no stopping that train.
There's no stopping the train, but like I think it's important to. I think fighting for ethics is what needs to happen.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But I just think what people need to realize is that like AI is happening, and so you should be learning how to use it and incorporate it into whatever you're doing because
Yeah,
it can make everything you're doing better and
but
easier.
it is going to destroy jobs. Jobs have become obsolete, forever. You know, I mean, like look at the machining used to be a hand process, like a done by hand process for metals, and then CNC stuff became like automated machinery became prevalent, and then like all those people that were machiners that had to super accurately machine metal that became obsolete completely. I mean, these are real fears.
Ye-
Um, like,
yeah, but
can you imagine what concept artists feel like? People that like they're making the base idea for something, and that's been their whole profession, and then now you can like the person that's coming up with the idea for what they want can just type it into a art thing and get something roughly what they want people to work off of. Like that is a real fear.
that is a real fear. But like people are still going to use concept artists because the AI is only generating based off what we've already made. So if there's
I
nobody
know.
making new stuff, it's
I don't disagree, but I have to wonder that you have to think that there's going to be some companies that take the easy way, and jobs will be cut. We're already seeing it, just like not from AI, but just as an industry as a whole, people are scaling down.
yeah.
That was the
Well,
other thing I wanted to talk about, but I forgot. We'll talk about it next week. Is job layoffs, bro.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This is already a pretty long podcast.
Yeah,
um, I don't know. I don't think that I don't think AI is going to eliminate as many jobs as people think it's going to eliminate. Like I think it's a productivity multiplier. Um, I hate that I just said that,
it's horrible. Who
but
are you?
I don't know. Yeah, that was a horrible thing to say. But like it's going to let people do whatever they want to do better and
I
faster.
I don't disagree in that it's going to be an invaluable tool that we use, that developers use, and it's going to make like generational leaps for games. But I like I just hope that this is all done in a way that like doesn't put people out of jobs and give them nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it will put people out of jobs who don't learn how to use it.
mm, yeah,
And that's the way of the world.
yeah,
If you don't embrace new technologies, you're going to be left behind.
yeah, and I think like in my job hunt, I have found many game developers that are like, we're doing AI stuff with our game. I'm like, that sounds fucking cool.
Yeah.
Not necessarily art, but a lot of narrative structure and that sort of things,
Hmm.
content generation.
That's a bummer.
What?
Bummer for somebody who's trying to do narrative writing. As I just defend AI.
Adapt, you
No,
fool.
but I think it's cool. I mean, I've used it a lot to like prototype story ideas.
Yeah,
There's a lot of potential there.
yeah. I mean, it'll be cool to see what can be created. But I think that's how we get to real living worlds,
Hmm.
like ones that don't take, you know, it's not a year of development to make 2 weeks of content kind of
Hmm.
thing. So,
All right.
but that's what I've been playing and everything. You have anything else?
I do have other stuff, but yeah, we're already a pretty long podcast.
All right.
You
Well,
know, get out of
thanks.
here.
Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.